The 1 o'clock news from Birmingham, where tonight the three leaders will meet for that third and final television showdown. Now, half of the 90-minute debate will focus on issues surrounding the economy. The other half will be domestic issues, but we know that those questions haven't even been finalised as I speak. Well, if the stakes seemed high before, then after yesterday's controversial encounter with that Rochdale pensioner, Gordon Brown knows he must give the performance of his lifetime. Today, he's been speaking to workers in a factory at Wolverhampton. Ian Watson reports.
The stage is being set for the final act in a three-part drama. The understudies are in place, but tonight the leaders of the three main parties at Westminster know they'll have to be word perfect when delivering their message on the economy. And leaving his hotel this morning, one of the key players was clearly hoping that tonight's drama doesn't become a tragedy. He was trying to move on from what some of his colleagues regarded as one of the greatest of Gordon's gaffes in nearby Rochdale.
Gordon Brown is now on his way to the crucial debate in Birmingham from Manchester, hoping to put headlines like these behind him. But he knows that the economy won't be the only matter to be discussed tonight. There'll also be a question of his own character.
If the Labour campaign is to get back on track, he has to convince us that denouncing a Labour-supporting pensioner as a bigot was only a temporary lapse of judgment.
Are you tackling it today, Gordon? Are you tackling the debt?
He'll need to find an answer to that in tonight's economy debate, but he'll have to hope he won't keep getting flashbacks about this incident. Yesterday he went to Gillian Duffy's home to apologise for his comments. This morning his cabinet colleagues were apologising for him.
Gordon's not slick. He's not one of these people who, you know, kind of gets up every morning in a kind of sophisticated approach to politics in the sense of it all being about PR and all carefully formulated. He's a very human person. We all know that. This was a dreadful mistake.
Arriving in the West Midlands, Gordon Brown met smiling party supporters rather than those riskier ordinary voters.
And Sarah's here as well, and so is Peter Mendelson, our business secretary.
And he called in help from friends and family at this factory visit in Hales Owen.
Yesterday was yesterday. Today I want to talk about the future of the economy. And it's about jobs, really, and about the job prospects of young people, and about how our economy can move through what is difficult times, given what we see happening in the rest of Europe, in Greece and elsewhere, when we have difficult economic circumstances, what we as Britain need to do.
Time and again, Gordon Brown has said he wants this election to focus on policy. As he prepares for tonight's debate, he has that opportunity, so long as he can prevent himself from snatching defeat from potential victory. Ian Watson, BBC News, Birmingham.
Well, meanwhile, David Cameron spent this morning at Birmingham Children's Hospital. He knows there's a lot riding on this debate, but when he was asked earlier if it became easier for the Conservatives after what happened to Gordon Brown yesterday, he made it very clear he wanted to separate what he called the campaign chaos from the issues being discussed tonight. Carol Walker reports.
David Cameron and his wife Samantha came to Birmingham Children's Hospital.
I heard. Let's go straight. I don't want to get in anybody's way.
The Tory leader declined to say anything about Gordon Brown's unguarded comments, though they have deflected some of the pressure ahead of tonight's big debate. This visit was intended to highlight Tory plans to provide more cancer drugs from money the NHS would save from scrapping the rise in national insurance.
And we're going to stick a blue fish on it?
The Conservatives have been criticised for failing to paint a full picture of the cuts they'd have to make to public services. But Mr Cameron wants to use tonight's debate to try to convince the wider public of his plans for tougher, swifter action to tackle the deficit.
The debates have switched people on to the election. There are people saying they're going to vote who weren't going to vote. So if the aim was to get people fired up and interested and engaged in politics, definitely a great success. So it is important tonight. Of course, that makes you nervous. There's a lot riding on it. But the opportunity to get your point across.
He can't afford to let those nerves hamper his performance tonight. David Cameron knows tonight's debate is his last big chance to try to persuade voters to trust him on the economy and to try to gain some momentum for the final week of the campaign. It could prove to be pivotal to his prospects of winning power. Carol Walker, BBC News, Birmingham.
Nick Clegg has also been here in Birmingham. He's been addressing students and he claimed his party had the most detailed plans for cutting the deficit. He was challenged by one student on his plans for training young people. Mike Sargent reports.
His performance in round one blew the election wide open. Last week's clash seemed to confirm Nick Clegg's new status. The Lib Dems say tonight will be the most critical of all. But will it be a debate influenced by a certain Gillian Duffy?
We'll see. I think Gordon Brown has apologised. He's right to have apologised, and I think I certainly will leave it at that.
And on this evening's TV showdown,
I think lots and lots of people have found these debates really useful in terms of making up their own minds about how they're going to act, which party they're going to support. And the election has come alive, and there's a real chance now, a real sense of excitement that we can do something different.
Nick Clegg seems as relaxed and confident ahead of the final debate as he was for the first two. But voters now know much more about his performance style and some of his policies. So it's quite hard for him to enhance his reputation tonight. The question, can he hold on to the support he's got? A question and answer session at South Birmingham College was supposed to be a light warm-up ahead of the real thing. But 26-year-old Mayor Black had other ideas and demanded answers on youth unemployment.
Of course it's demotivating.
They know they can do the job, they've got the qualifications to do the job, but there isn't a job out there for them. That's far worse than not having a qualification.
But Maya, what is the alternative? What do you want to do? Just have people sitting at home every 2 weeks?
You shouldn't be asking me that question. I'm asking you what the alternative is.
Well, I've given you... Well, of course I agree with you. Of course.
Nick Clegg won't have it all his own way tonight either, but the TV debates have given him a profile the others can't ignore.
You're something Clegg.
I am something Clegg.
Mike Sargent, BBC News, Birmingham.
Well, let's pick up with the politicians then. Liam Fox and Sarah Tether will both be joining me from Westminster in just a moment. But first, let's talk to the Labour campaign manager, Douglas Alexander, who's with me here. And thanks again for being here. Will Gordon Brown be mentioning